Hi folks, right, so what we'll do now is I'm going to show you how to record your audio onto your PowerPoints, right? You probably already know how to do that, but just for those that don't know, and plus, normally it's quite an easy job to record a set of lecture slides, right? But our job is considerably more difficult because we need to have a translator's audio speaking after ours constantly, right? So you speak and then they speak, you speak and then they speak. So the way to do that is, unless you can just do it where you're in the same room and you're both, you talk and then they talk. If you have to send it away for them to record the audio, then what the first job you do is you have to duplicate each of your slides, because what's going to happen is you're going to record your audio on the first slide, and then you'll insert their audio on the second slide. And then when we export it as a video later on, so students are just watching it, they can't see the change in slides because it's the same slide, right? And so all they will see is me speaking and then the translator speaking on one slide, right? So you need to go through and duplicate all of your slides. And I've done the other, 100, so I won't bore you with that. And then you'll record your lecture. So what you do is you go up to your top bar here and you go over to slideshow, and then you go to record slideshow, and then it gives you record from current or record from beginning. I mean, you would use current if you're in the middle and you're correcting something, or you've stopped and start again or whatever. You don't want to start from the beginning again, but here it doesn't matter. But anyway, brings up the same screen. I'll use current slide, and it brings up this slide. And good idea to test your mic, right? Gives you a countdown after you hit the record button, and you'd start your lecture. Hi everyone, this is a new security agenda, and we're going to be talking about the change in blah, 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 right? And then you'd click through, right? But then you'd stop it, go back, and you can hit replay. And you'd start your lecture. Hi everyone, this is a new security agenda, and we're going to be talking about the change in blah, 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 right? And then you click through. Right, so that's all working fine. I go up, but I don't want that audio on there, right? I didn't do it properly, or maybe I'm later on in the lecture and I made a mistake, right? I can just hit stop and go here and clear the recordings from the current slide. I don't think you'd ever clear recordings on all slides. I mean, maybe if you're right at the beginning and you've just stuffed this up and you want to have another go, but otherwise, so if you hit clear recordings on all slides, you have to redo the recordings on all of the slides, right? So be very careful about using that button. You probably wouldn't do that. So clear the recordings on the current slide. And then you go back and record your normal lecture, right? Hi everyone, this is a new security agenda, blah, blah, blah. And then you'd click through. Don't bother talking anything on the second slide, because that's where you're going to put the translator's audio. So you just click through. What's the new security agenda? Well, first I have to explain the old security agenda. Click through. This is blah blah blah, right? And you keep going like that. And if you make a mistake on one slide, you can stop, clear the recordings from that slide, and just redo it, right? And then you'll do that for your entire lecture, right? Go through all the slides. Okay, So one thing to note though is if you realise like, oh, I made a mistake on this slide, so I'll go in and I'll clear the recordings on this one and re-record this one. If you've got you can't click through. Actually, normally you wouldn't be able to click through because it would clear, even if you click through and don't say anything and stop it, it will clear the recordings on that slide. But happily, about the only silver lining for this process is that doesn't matter, and you can actually make sure you click through so that it records the timing for when the slide changes, right? So you'd re-record that. What's the new security agenda? I need to explain what the older agenda is first. Click through and then stop, right? You stop on the translators because you'll clear that audio later. I'll show you how. Okay, so that's recording onto your slides and making sure you've got two, so room for the translators. There's one more thing that is a bit tricky, is that if you've got videos, right, what you'll have to do is you need to turn off your mic, but you still need to let it play so that it records the slide timing, right? So let me show you how to do that. So we're going to go from current slide. I'm recording. This is my slide, so talk, 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 and then click through. This is the translators, and then I get to the video. So I'm like, oh, okay, I've got a video, I'll stop. I've got to go down here and turn off my mic, right? I mute my mic, and I clear the recordings from the current slide, and I've made sure that my slides are all set to play automatically, right? So they don't need me to click on them. So when I run it later as a movie, it'll all just happen automatically. So then I hit record, and I shouldn't have to do anything else now because it's set to start automatically. Or if it doesn't, I click it anyway. Oh, you mongrel. All right, so what's happened here? So I got to start when clicked on it, sorry. So it should be automatically. And I need two of them because I'm going to talk about it afterwards, right? And so I'm actually going to need play the video, then I talk, then translator talks, okay? So I need three of them. Plus, it's very important to keep you're talking on the odd slides and the translator is talking on the even slides. So you want to make sure that you've got an even number, right? It's quite easy to end up with 3 or 5, right? Because you talk, translator talks, you play the video, then you talk, and then the translator talks, and then you've swapped, right? And so the way to get around that is you add a blank slide immediately before playing the video, right? Plus, to save on bandwidth, like I've now duplicated that movie, 4 times, right? I don't actually need to do that because it only plays once, right? So what I can do is I can go in here and take a screenshot. So print screen, and I highly recommend you download an app called ShareX instead of using the built-in Windows print screen, which is just laborious to use. Oops. This one is much better. Oops. If I can work it using my control print screen, and so it gives you that, and it gives me that. and it takes the photo and it'll appear in the bottom right. Yep. And you click on that, takes me, and then I can right click and copy image, and then I can go back to my lecture and I can right click and paste it as a picture. All right, and then I'll crop it. Right, and then I can just place it over that one, and then I'll send it to the back so that I can delete this one. Right, and then I'll send my background to the back, so to bring this, and so this isn't a video anymore, it's just a picture, so it takes up much less bandwidth. So I'm going to delete that one and duplicate that, and I'm going to delete those two. So I've only got one that's a movie, right? I will duplicate that and move it down the bottom, and then duplicate that again. So what's going to happen here is I'll talk, then my translator will talk, and then the movie will play automatically because I've set it to be automatic, and then I'll talk and then he'll talk, right? Plus I need a blank one so that I stay on the odds and the translator stays on the evens. That is extremely important for later, for a very tedious job later on, a couple of tedious jobs. It's going to make things much easier if you're on the odds and he's on the evens, all right? So make sure you do that. So then I would just record my audio, you know, this video is going to be about this, blah, 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 and then the translators would do the same. And then when it gets to the video, so that's record slideshow from current, make sure my mic's off, right? And then you're going to hit the record, it'll count down, and hopefully I've set it to automatic this time, so it should, because I'm not clicking through. Anyway.
When the concept of a submarine-launched missile was first proposed in 1955,
so
skeptics said it could never work.
You need to let this, so I'll just turn that down.
Test missile from the submarine USS George Washington on 20 July.
Okay, so you need to let that play because you want the slide timings to be right. I'm actually going to cut this video out and replace it with one that I'm getting subtitles put on, right? But that doesn't matter because the timing will be the same, okay? And when I do that, I'll set it to automatic, and so it's all fine. So that is that's how you record slides and leave room for the translator. I'll just anyway, it doesn't matter. So if this ran to the end, it would end and you'd click through. Make sure you click through to the next slide, right? So that the recording is timed. Then you'd stop it again and you'd put your mic on. Make sure you put your mic on and then continue recording, right? When you've finished all your recordings, you just exit out of it, and all the recordings will be, you will see this this microphone down the bottom right, and so that's the automatic spot that it puts all your audio, and you can play it and see what's there, right, and stuff like that. But make sure you save it if your autosave isn't on, and then you will then put it in a OneDrive and then send the link to your translator, and then they'll be able to go through and record their audio, and then I'll show you how to insert that later on.